up on stage, fun with balls. Could we please make a round of applause?
So, hello everybody. First of all, the people in the back, feel free to come here. We're going to do this a little bit different. It's not going to be a boring presentation. So join us. Esports is not a sport. We'll discuss that, so please sit down. Just kidding, it is. Okay, so my background actually is in advertising and events. So I started my first company called Visual Drugstore. So we have a little bit of a hand for fancy names. And we did like super big campaigns all around the world, big fashion shows, car reveals, anything that was exciting and big and design and entertainment driven. And we had a lot of fun around the globe. We even started the first surf school of North Korea. We even had art projections in Antarctica. So whatever was possible, we basically said, okay, let's do it. So one thing we found out during all these amazing projects is the attention span is the most valuable asset that we have in our time. So anybody who can focus people on being actually giving you attention, that's where you make a difference. And nowadays, it obviously gets harder and harder. So a lot of people basically are competing for your attention. At the same time, a lot of the old things, which haven't gone any worse, are a little bit harder to actually compete in. Like if you now say, hey, I want to teach you to play tennis, well, compared to Fortnite and compared to all the other fancy stuff or flying a drone or getting a Tinder profile, it's a pretty big investment. So we said, okay, what do we want to focus on next? And we said, okay, why don't we take whatever we learned here, the limbic system, basically what drives you, what's amazing you, what drives you to say like, oh, this is really good and gets you into the zone, and focus on this is where the font should be installed, where it says 2.4 trillion US dollars per year. Who knows what this number actually, or who actually has an understanding of what 2.4 trillion US dollars is? You. Okay, well, that's very good. Okay, it's basically, there it is. It's basically all cost combined of all armed conflicts, terrorism, violence, war of the world. And it is the cost of only obesity, which means only of fat people, not even all the other risks that come with people not moving enough. So it's just a very, very small fraction, but that's the general cost what we create if people are not active enough. So we said, okay, how can we actually tackle that and how can we do it with a lot of fun? We said, okay, we want to find a way to get these people who have no intention to getting into sports to be active players, to be fully engaged, and obviously make sports a part of their daily routine and actually become more healthy in the process. 81% of all people below 17 of the world are under this level of, this is Fiona Bull from the WHO, brilliant woman, who actually researched how many percentage of the world population is under that element, meaning like I think it's 1.5 hours per week. And that's 81%. Okay, so we said, why don't we say sports tech is going to solve it? Sure, we went into sports tech, we said, this is great, all these gimmicks that we have, the Fitbits, everything that's out there, that should make people active like hell. But the one little problem we found is sometimes sports tech doesn't have a long retention, meaning you get your Fitbit, you're probably going to count your steps, you're probably going to be taking the U-Bahn one less time, but in general, is this going to make you follow a sport for the next 40 years like you would do in tennis and volleyball or in soccer? And the numbers speak a very, very straight language. As long as the thing is new, the little tracker that gets your goal swing right, you use it for 2 or 3 weeks and that's really awesome and you get a nice Excel list somewhere on a web page and you can compete with people. 4 or 5 weeks later, you're like, okay, I forgot to recharge it. 5 weeks later, you're going to be like, well, I just want to play golf. Which means nobody's actually going to get over the threshold saying, there's this cool tech. I want to start to become a golf player. It's mostly for the people who are in the sport already. So we said, okay, what do we want to change in that? We have a massive problem, which is like a broken leg, and we try to fix it with a lot of funny gimmicks. And sorry, this is with a little bit of a delay. Good. We want to get these people, we want to get these people, and we want to have them do full sports. So we created the first fully interactive mixed reality gamification that exists. It looks like this. That should play. There you go. The video doesn't show well here, but that's why we brought 3 of these systems into Hall C6. You can try them out, you can compete, you can see the new products coming out. So it's really, really nice, and I encourage you to go over there. We're also going to have a hackathon, because basically what we did is we created a lot of hardware and we created a lot of software. It is an interactive surface. It's highly targeted towards sports, so it's very high, very precise, and it's an open platform. So anybody can create apps for it. We use it in schools, we use it in squash centers, facilities, tennis centers, even restaurants, hotels, and it's just a big wall that is like a Wii, but in real life and with real sports. So check it out. But generally, this whole talk that I'm giving is not supposed to be only about our products. Now you know where we come from and why we think that we have a very, very good basis to be talking about what's needed in sports. So the second half of my presentation is actually how you, within your companies and within your governing bodies, within your fitness centers, within even your own personal life, can start taking the learnings that we learned and actually innovate on a level where we can say, okay, this whole thing needs to be fixed on a much, much, much larger mission than just us. Our mission at this point is we want to make sports more relevant. We need to help facilities, because a lot of sports facilities are struggling with getting their revenues up, are struggling with hiring trainers or keeping trainers, and some of them even are struggling with their rent. So one problem is you have this whole space, you're using it 2 or 3 hours per day. The shop next door with a VR studio or even just a shop or a boutique, they're using it 10 to 15 hours a day. So you have to come up with something that's much more engaging, much more fun, to actually make that relevant. And the third thing, we want to build an ecosystem. So that's also why we invite people like you. That's why we play on our hackathons and so on. Our recipe, very, very simple. We want to have impeccable tech. Everything is based on a very, very reliable technology. 5 years warranty, like it's indestructible. You can try it out hitting it with a baseball bat if you come to our booth. We need low entry barriers. We need people to, and that's why esports is so great, because you just start with it. Nobody needs to train you. You don't need to become a member. You just go online, you download it, and you go for it. And that's what you need to create in your own in your own facilities and your own ideas and your own businesses. And the third thing, social framework, because we want to create amazing activities and we want to bring people in the zone. We are social animals, and that's where it needs to go. So let's get to the fun part. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. So now you know, like, hey, look at these guys. They did this cool thing, and it's a lot of fun, and they're successful with it. Yes, it's been a hard journey until here. And there's a lot of ways to, sorry for that, fuck it up really, really badly. Because nothing is worse than bringing in an innovation, saying, we're going to change the world, and then not really doing it. So, number one, understand the youth. Everybody nowadays is focusing on the youth as a target audience. Most of the people don't understand them. We're talking with global federations, we're talking with tennis federations saying, we need to get more young players in. Yeah, you're not going to get them in if you offer free training lessons with your 45-year-old trainer on a Saturday in a tennis center. That person that you probably already lost 5 years ago, that's now into computer gaming and doesn't really care about any of that stuff, it's not going to change around for a free lesson. So you need to really understand what drives them. Who knows what that is?
What's the problem? Dog.
Nobody? Come on. Who knows this app?
All right, Penn, it's time for math again. What is...
Oh, so nobody here knows this app. I mean, our marketing guy knows it, but he's not supposed to lift his... You know it? What is it? It's TikTok. Who's on TikTok? Nobody. Guys, there's 600 million people on there. This thing is going nuts. There's the average time that people use on TikTok is about double the time that people use it per day on Facebook. If you don't understand why this thing is great, you got your homework to do. Because your clients, your buyer of your product, everything are going to be these people. If you now say, oh yeah, but TikTok is the shit, like people just sing stuff and they like post funny videos, blah, 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 blah. Hey, you're going to be the guy not understanding where consumer preference in the future, understanding how media actually is consumed in the future, you're going to be missing out. It's like you're the guy saying, nobody needs a car, I have horses. Understand that and look at it. I'm not saying that you have to like it. You're probably going to be very confused at a lot of this stuff, and you're probably even going to dislike it very much, but look at it. You have to. Which brings us to second part. Understand the youth, and much more importantly, okay, that's not working. Okay, include them. If you have these people, bring them in for just asking them, just bringing them in to make an interview. Let them work at your place. I'm not saying give them your job, but at least ask them, what would you do in my case? Because a lot of the people that we found, fitness studios, all the other people, they always think they know better. But as long as they don't get these people through the door and actually ask them, how would you like to run this place? You're not going to go anywhere. Sorry, I might have to move a little closer here. Oh, yeah. And third part, you don't know better. We all live with a certain arrogance, especially with federations where you worked your way up in big corporations where you had to spend years and years till now I am the president, I'm going to call the shots. Yes, but if you don't understand where this is heading, you have a problem. Third, embrace change. Who knows what that is? That's the drone racing league. The drone racing league is now a big thing. It didn't exist 4 or 5 years ago. So do your homework, check it out, check why it is great, check why companies like DHL or Allianz are investing in it as a sponsor. And can somebody click this thing because it's really... Fourth, don't be lazy, same thing. If you want to activate people, it starts with you. If you go into a situation where like we can put the sponsor money the same direction we always put it before, or we have to come up with new concepts, talk with the agencies, get a couple of experts in, we're going to have late hour meetings, it's going to be a lot of phone calls, let's just put the money back into the same spot where we always put it and go back at 3 o'clock. No, it's going to be more work, but then again, the others might be doing the work, so you basically have to compete with it. 5, don't be a fan. We all love sports. This is all why we're here. The one thing that we saw the last 4 years, a lot of people are in sports not to make a difference, not because they're great at their job, not because they're actually trying to change the world. They're there because they love sports, which is great. I'm not saying anything against that, but in a lot of situations, you really have to ask yourself, am I applying for a job at marketing or whatever with FC Bayern Munich, whatever, and am I at the position where it's like, I work for FC Bayern Munich. Are you doing this job still? Or do you just like because you found a place where your hobby can actually align with your job and pay for your life? I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but there's a wave of stuff coming now that needs to change in the sports world very, very deeply, and we need the right people there understanding what is the risk, what is the innovation that can happen, what's the output, and just people being there to say like, no, I just like to be in the meetings and I very much love it and I'm going to sign the same contracts every year and then I'm going to be good for the next 12 years till the next guy comes. You're basically hurting by not innovating. Just saying it's not a bad thing, but be aware of that. 6, it's really bad. This is not a place where you would notice that because everybody speaks sports. Everybody's like, you have so many products. Go into the Midwest of the US. Go into the Philippines. Go into the places where people are sports. Yeah, that's the stuff that runs on TV. 80% of these people don't do ever sports. There's kids in the US at 9 years in the Midwest. If you tell them run backwards, they can't. because they never really engaged in any sports or active play. Be aware of that. First of all, it's a gigantic market. And second of all, if we don't fix this issue, we're going to be like fat, very lazy people at some point that don't move at all. This is a quick example. I'm not going to play this long. This is, I think, a final of the Australian Open. And watch this really closely. Who notices something? Normally I let this play for 1.5 minutes. It's not exciting. It's very boring. Sorry. If you're a tennis fan for the last 15, 20 years and you're, oh my God, it is exciting. For the rest of the world, it's like, okay, they play, okay, But watch this.
Every Counter-Strike fan starts to gather, whether it's at home on the sofa at the PC or here in the Spodek. We are the generation that has seen esports in its humble beginnings. You are the people who found esports, drove esports and believed in it.
It's called the biggest esports event on the planet for a reason. Welcome to the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship 2018. Let's get it on!
I'm not going to play the full video. It keeps going that way. What you have to understand, what these guys do in an amazingly well manner. It's exciting, it's short, it's super engaging, it has a low entry barrier, and if you go there and say, I don't give a shit about that computer game, if you just go to that event, it's still an amazing event. You can have a lot of fun there, even if you're not even watching the championships. What they really understand is this is the consumer preference of today. You cannot rely on, but we've been around for so long, we have our place and we deserve, we're in the Olympics. And yes, but in the end, to compete for the attention, that is what's needed. So we need to find a way to get sports, the real physical one, the moving left and right thing, to the same level, not because it's all about market share or whatever, it's because the product of a sport per se as an activity is not getting worse, but everything else is going up like crazy. It's like you're trying to tell somebody, hey, chess is great, but the kid is going to say yes, but you know what, I want to play Candy Crush and then I'm going to hit over to Fortnite. So be aware of that and be very, very, very prepared to change, even if it's just the setup. I mean, if you look at tennis, they discuss 4 years for a rule change, which is, for an outsider, he doesn't even, I wouldn't even notice. It's like, oh, now, no, you do this and like that, and blah, 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 and this call now is with a referee like that. We changed that in 4 years. Well, yeah, well, that's a good thing. If I decide I'll put on an esports tournament, you know what, we're going to play a different game, we're going to change the rules, we're going to make it 5 minutes and 6, I make that decision, I start with it. So the federation, in this case, is not necessarily one of the best things to have. Oh. Sorry for being always... we already had that. Good. Point number 7, don't go alone. We have a very strong philosophy in our company. We help a lot of other startups, even our competitors, even people that would be considered like, hey, so we're always happy to share, we're always happy to help, we're always happy to team up. This whole thing is an ecosystem that needs to innovate. That's why we're going out there building hackathons to show other sports and other companies how it can be done. That doesn't mean don't steal from us. We've had that case also where we were like, yeah, we want to be partners. We're going to do exactly the same thing. You're going to basically get your nose punched for that at some point. But generally, we're very open and we want to have people to actually help us innovate all together. We're coming to an end. This should be a super nice smiley for a celebration. We have one nice announcement today. So we started interactive squash about 2.5 years ago. This is like what upgrades a squash court to a fully immersive play area. This is some quick things. Yeah, this is just some very, very little things that you can peek at. I'm not going to say anything, actually, and I'm going to leave it too short for you to take pictures. Good. Let's just jump over the next topic because we're also running out of time. So this is how it looks on a squash court. It's basically a big touchpad on the front wall. You don't see it here, It's fully integrated in a squash court. It upgrades any squash court within a day to basically an immersive, interactive squash arena. It's super fun. There's more than 30 different games on it. They start from very beginner level, just throw a ball, to very sophisticated, strategy-driven, based on squash action. It's the first time that we actually managed to get a sport without compromising any of it and merging it with the esports element. And since this has been going really well around the globe, we're now announcing the first global league of it. So we're going to have the first 8 events plus a world championship this year. The first event is already going to be happening early April in New York, where we have a 3-court facility. And what it means is, it is the full sport. If you can't play squash, you're probably going to lose the match very, very quick. But if you can play squash, it's like playing squash plus chess plus. There's moving targets, there's specials, there's a timer, there's a clock. There's so many elements coming into it. Once you played this, the people that go on an interactive squash court for the first time, even pro players, say like, I'm overclocked. I don't get how it is. But we have 9-year-olds now playing memory with 64 pairs at a pace which is breathtaking, and they just go bam bam and play against each other. So squash is a very technical game already. That plus the esports element is insane. So we actually planned this a little bit later, but since we have the first events lined up, this is going to be a pretty bad thing. So come by and have a chat if you want to find out more. There's also the website is just going online now, and there's going to be more and more details about that. That's it from me. We are in Hall C6. Come by if you want to have a chat. Let us know if we can help. And we're going to be challenging everybody for playing on one of our 3 systems over there. And yeah, I hope you had some fun.
Der Hackathon, den wir auf der Fläche in der Halle C6 umsetzen konnten, ist dank eines tollen Kooperationspartners, nämlich Multiball, Fun with Balls, in die Umsetzung gekommen. Wir hatten Hype Energy als Partner mit dabei, und was wir da gemacht haben, ist etwas ganz Neues. Die Multiball ist auch ein Sportgerät, an dem man interaktiv mit einer Wand interagiert mit einem Ball, mit einem Tennisschläger, mit einem Tennisball und hier Spiele erleben kann. Und diese Spiele wurden jetzt während der Tage der ISPO Munich von Studenten neu entwickelt, und die werden dann jetzt auf der Bühne präsentiert, und ich bin total gespannt, welches Spiel dann auch gewonnen hat.
Es gibt 4 Teams, 4 Teilnehmer. Jedes Team ist zusammengesetzt aus einem Programmierer, einem E-Sportler, einem Brain oder Leader, sage ich jetzt mal, des Teams, und einem professionellen Sportler.
Wir haben jetzt die Idee, ein Quiz-Game zu machen mit so einem sportlichen Teil, also mit Minispielen und Quizfragen halt, wo man halt gegeneinander antreten kann.
Hinter uns auf der Bühne findet gerade unsere Preisverleihung für den Hackathon statt. Die haben die Möglichkeit, für die letzten 3 Tage Spiele zu entwickeln. Da sind coole Sachen mit dabei. Was wir eingesetzt haben, ist bei unserer Plattform die Interaktion vom Sport mit sämtlichen Bällen oder Ballsportarten und der Wand. Wir haben ein neues Feature jetzt mit dabei, und zwar das Motion Tracking. Das heißt, vor der Wand kann man sich auch einfach bewegen und in dieser Form mit den Spielen interagieren. Und da sind 2 Teams dabei, die haben das ziemlich cool mit integriert. Schau mal, was rausgekommen ist.
Ich hatte am Anfang ziemlich Angst gehabt, teilzunehmen, weil ich eigentlich gar keine Wissen habe mit Programmieren oder Sonstiges. Aber Arne hat mir die Angst genommen, auf jeden Fall. Er hat mir ein bisschen geholfen, die Präsentation zu gestalten, hat mir auch noch mal ein paar Kleinigkeiten beigebracht. Und es war auf jeden Fall ein interessantes Erlebnis.